this lesson we'll be looking at how to create a section view similar to the one we're looking at right here, and a detail view which is similar to this detail view here, and also this detail view here. Now we'll start with a section view. Similar to what you've learned in class, we have a section line here that goes straight through the middle of the part, and our section line arrows are pointing in this direction here, so we know that we're looking at this part of the part. And where the section line is, we have some hatching there that designates that we're cutting through the part so we can actually see the interior of the part. In this case it's solid, so we see complete hatching. If there were a hole here, obviously there would be an area right in the middle where you would see the hole, and there wouldn't be hatching where the hole is if the hole is centered on the section line. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete my section view here, and I'm going to redo it so that you can see what I did. So you can see it's gone. I deleted the line, so that deletes everything else because everything is based on the line. So what I want to do is go to my insert drawing view, and I'm going to insert a section. And what I want to do is I want to get right on top of this point and then go up so that I keep my little dashed line there that tells me I'm right on that point. I'm going to click there, and then I'm going to go straight down, and where I keep the vertical icon on my line, and I'm going to click there. And I like the direction. If I wanted it to look the other way, I could make it look the other way by flipping it. I like that direction, so I'm going to click here. And I don't like the way that it shows the wood grain, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change that. I'm going to change it back to C, which was my original name. This is in the way now. And now you see how C updates here. And I want to go to more properties. First of all, I'm going to make it a regular. No, I can change the hatching. There we go. So I click on the section view itself, and then it tells me the hatching is a material hatching, and for some reason it's using cork. Now what I'm just going to change it to is some diagonal parallel lines. So I'm going to select parallel lines, and then I'm going to select 45 degrees, and that gives me my nice hatch. I can scale it up a little bit, say to 2, so that it makes a little bit smaller hatch, so it's more obvious that it's hatched. And I'm going to check OK. Then I'm just going to dimension it. I'm going to click this circle there. Notice how it gives me, oops, I'm in the pink layer, so I'm going to change to this layer. format layer now. So I don't want the radius dimension, I want the diameter dimension. So let's see. I want the diameter dimension, not the radius dimension, so I'm going to click the diameter button here. And notice how it changes from an R to the diameter symbol, and it bumps it up to 3/4 from 3/8, so that I know that this circle is a diameter when I'm doing my sketch. And I want dimensions from here to here. Notice how mine are fractional. The way that you get that is you go into your tools, options, and change your units. You're probably in your MKS, so you can change it from MKS to IPS. And I go over here and I change it to 64th, and then I have it rounded to the nearest fraction. So that's how I set up my dimensions. We can also dimension from here to here. And notice how my dimensions are now black and the rest of my dimensions are gray for some reason. That's because the gray ones were done before I created all these layers, so there were no layers. So if you look at the gray dimensions and you look at the layer that they're in, let's see, it's under other, I believe. It's under none, so it has no layer. So if I want to change all the dimensions to black, I can select them all and change this to whatever color I want them to show as, or I can click all of these and change them to gray, and that way it all looks the same. And I'm going to move this a little bit closer so it's more obvious that that's section CC. Now to do the detail view, it's very similar to the section view, only we're making a circle instead of a line, and we're blowing up a portion of the drawing that we want to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to not delete it, but I'm going to modify this A so that it shows just part of the part. So now you can see only what's inside the circle is what's on the detail, and when you select your detail you can actually control the scale of it. I have a 3:2 scale here. You can say 1:1, 2:3, you know, whatever you want. I wanted it big enough so that I could see this groove and dimension it properly. If it's this small, sometimes it's hard to really dimension it properly. You can't even tell what you're dimensioning, so you put a detail and expand the scale so that you can see what you're dimensioning. And notice that the dimensions are still obviously scaled properly, they're just shown larger on the drawing as if it's got a magnifying glass right where the circle is. So that's how you create sections. I'll do the same thing with this one. If I expand the circle, notice how the inclusion of the detail gets bigger. If I go smaller, it just doesn't include anything anymore. So I can actually show that it's the end of the piece, or I can just show the slot, which is all I need to show in the first place. Now some other details to create my photo page. What I did is it's very simple. I just inserted a picture similar to the way you would do it in Microsoft Word or PowerPoint or anything else. You just insert a picture. It's taken a little while because I'm filming a movie at the same time, so give it a second. And it's going to pop in down here. And then I just basically move it up to where I need it to be. And let's just say I'm going to overlap this one. and then you just click the corner and drag down, and then you can size it that way. I recommend keeping the aspect ratio locked, or else you'll get, you know, a really funky looking picture like that, maybe, you know. So don't do that. Alright, so what other things can we show you? So again, to show this view is just my default configuration with an exploded view showing each step. Each subassembly is exploded. All the steps we went through that. Each of these views is a new configuration showing each step in progression. I started with step 6 and I moved to step 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 until I was left with nothing, and I kept suppressing all the parts that I didn't need for each progressive step backwards. And for these are obviously just assembly drawings of each subassembly for each of the steps, just to show a little more detail how each step goes together, so that if somebody was actually putting this together, they'd be able to follow it using these subassembly drawings. And roof with chimney, roof flat, and all the parts. I'm going to ask y'all to make one drawing with the timbers, one drawing with the roof elements again. So you'll have 2-part drawings, so it'll be like parts 1, parts 2, or you can call it timbers and roof elements. And I also want y'all to have a drawing similar to this one, where you have a picture, and you can use my picture here along with a rendering of your design. So I want to see a comparison to see how realistic your rendering looks, and I want it to look at least as realistic as mine looks here, with some shadowing and some texturing on the elements. So that concludes this lesson. Continue on to the next lesson, which will teach you how to create your rendered photo that I was just talking about.